This is a project that's taken me a while to get back to. I bought this old radio about 7 years ago. It's a Sentinel, 1939. I forgot the model number. I bought this from a thrift store way back. This is the first old radio that I worked on. So I got the electronics working. I think I'll do a few more things to it, but I never worked on the cabinet, which definitely needs a refinish job. The top is pretty bad here. There was some water dripping, so this is all stained and lifting the veneer, so that needs to be re-glued back. It's missing some veneer in various places here, down here on this side. There's another chip right there. There's some there. The grill cloth is kind of stained. I'm probably going to replace that. There's a couple of pieces over here missing too. So I already tested this, and it is a lacquer finish. So I think I'll start disassembling this and seeing if I can strip the cabinet down and start doing some veneer repairs first. There's the restored radio. It's working pretty well. And then get it refinished and make it look beautiful again. This is a nice book matched piece of veneer right here. So let's see what we can do. Alright, I popped the radio out and the speaker board, which is over there. And so it looks like inside here. I'm hoping I can get that front panel off. There's some screws look like they hold it on, so I'm going to try pulling those off and see if this part right here will pop off, because I'll make it easier to get this side glued back down and refinished. So I'm going to try that right now. Alright, got that the face of this off. Relatively one piece. Came out of there. There's a few little pieces of this is just backing to this curved section, which I can glue back on. It goes right there. It kind of crackled off as I was pulling the thing apart, but I'll glue that back together. The main reason I need to get this off is I need to get underneath the side here to glue this veneer back together. This is the part that the water that was just dripping down here wound up kind of distorting and ruining that glue and letting this pull off a little bit. So I'll go ahead and pull these off pretty soon here, and then we can start re-gluing and refinishing that. And then I just got some new scrapers, and they seem to be working well on removing the finish, so I'll go ahead and scrape the whole thing down, replace all the veneer, re-glue the loose veneer, and then we'll come up with a finish for this. But I'm glad I got that off without breaking it. I've been watching a lot of Dasher design and restorations videos. It's a guy on YouTube that buys a lot of furniture and restores it. And he says, and I agree, that the best way to strip these old lacquer finishes that are very worn down is to just use a little scraper. So I've been using this, and it's actually very easy to just run this and just kind of scrape that off. Just quick work of it. And I just just went to my local woodworking store and took a piece of the broken off veneer, and we all seem to agree that this is probably mahogany, so that's what I bought to replace some of the missing veneer. Seems to match, but we'll see more later as I get this stripped off and compare it. I'll keep going on this and see how it looks. Alright, continuing to scrape, and it's looking very nice underneath the finish. I think that already finished very nicely. I've got some veneer repairs along this edge happening here, so while that wood glue dries, I thought I'd show a few things. One, I got a couple scrapers. I got this big one that I did the top with, and then I got this other one that's got a lot of different little blades that you can change, and I'll probably wind up using this for the most part because a lot of this is going to be getting into tight spots, so those blades work better for that. Here's an interesting thing I just discovered. You can see how this wood grain goes this way, but this has a real plasticky feel, like it's fake, and looks like linoleum or something. And it is fake, because once you scrape that off and there's no finish on top of that. This is very thin, and when you scrape it, you can see that there's just, I don't know, a cheap piece of wood underneath here that doesn't have any real wood grain, or at least, the grain goes this way, not this way. So I don't know what that is, if it's a decal or something, but this is a structural piece. It holds these two big pieces of wood together. So that's why it's there, and they probably just used a cheap piece of wood since this is at the bottom of the radio, so they put this decal or whatever this is on top of it to give it some wood grain. So I think what I will do, so once I scrape this off, I've got some extra mahogany veneer. I'll just put a piece of veneer over top of this and then match it, and I think they'll look a lot better than this cheap plasticky feeling stuff down here. And it's not even the right color. So that's my plan. So I'll keep going and let this dry, and probably do some more veneer repairs before I can completely scrape the cabinet down, but the scraping is going well. I've gotten the finish all scraped off with the scrapers, and a little bit of sanding done, and starting to do some of the veneer repairs. I got a little piece down there on the bottom that I put back on, and this front faceplate, this is some stiffener wood that flaked off when I removed this front panel. And right here was where this was all the water dripping had raised this veneer, and it was up and curly and everything else, so I got that glued back down. It's looking pretty good. I don't think you'll even be able to notice that it was ever peeling up once I get it all sanded and refinished. So that's going on. Put that over there. So I have a few problems on top here. It looks like there's some darker stains in different areas. And along here, maybe where some water had dripped on it. So I think I'm going to try my oxalic acid here, and just on the top. Nowhere else really needs it. So see if we can get those water stains a little lighter. Alright, let me just put this stuff on here. Pretty easy. Just wipe on. pretty good. We'll let that dry and then wipe it off with some clean water and see if it helped with the stains. Hopefully it will. Looks like this got some of the darker stains out. So I will clean this off here a little bit. Some clean water. It's looking pretty good. These weren't real dark stains, but I think it did lighten them up a little bit. I think a little sanding and refinishing, that'll all disappear. Alright, I just put a little mineral spirits on the top of the radio console here, and I do not see any more of those dark stains, so it looks like a combination of some sanding and oxalic acid got it all out. Still have this little burn mark or something that's still there. I also coated the face here with some mineral spirits to show the grain. That's looking pretty good. There's a little bit of sanding yet to go. I think there's some glue still on a few spots here, but that's looking pretty good. I'm really happy with this spot over here where the veneer was had come loose from when it was water stained. And I glued this on the back. These all come off, which is just a stiffener for this curved piece. So that will hold that in place when it goes back on, right there. Here's the major piece of veneer that I have to replace. It wraps around all the way from the front all the way to the back. And I straightened this up to be 1 inch straight line so that I could cut a piece of veneer straight and have it fit in there. Now this is going to take, you can't tell this, but it's going to take 2 pieces of this. This is fairly thin stuff so that it will bend around the corner. So I'm going to have to put 2 layers of this to match the existing veneer. And the color is not going to be quite right. This is a little brown and this is going to be red, so I'm going to have to match the colors later, but I guess I'll start getting this put in the groove there. I think the grain's not too far apart. Let's see how it looks. Okay, I got that last piece of veneer glued down. Looks okay. That's probably going to be definitely the hardest one to kind of match up when it comes time to finish it. But we got this completely sanded down everywhere and ready to start putting a finish on it. So here we go. Alright, there's 1 coat of shellac on the radio. And it's real thin coat, just a thinned out 1 pound cut just to see what the color is going to be. And if I leave it a clear finish, which I think I am, I'll pull this off. So yeah, I like that. So I will keep adding coats, probably about around 20 in all to get a thick enough layer, and I'll probably go up to a 2 pound cut of shellac just to get this nice thick layer so that I can sand it smooth and fill in some of the gaps in the grain and make it look nice. So that's going to be the process. It's going to take a few days. I'm making some progress. I did the this black line right here was originally painted in, so I repainted that. And I've been using this wax repair thing here. I chose this color. You just use this little tool here to melt some wax into the little places where you can't really fix, which is, here's one right here. You can kind of see it. Just helps little nicks blend in. There's another one over here, right there in the corner, and then there's actually one here and one up here too. So I've done that, and then done some more shellacking, and some of my patches have blended in pretty well. It's really hard to see that one unless you really get close, and then you can see it. So that's my goal, is to make them disappear from a distance. And then there's another one over here. It's a little harder to make it disappear, but it's down at the bottom. I got the color right, but you know, the grain is off. But hopefully it'll look okay when it's done. So I will continue adding layers of shellac and sanding, and get this thing completed. Well, I'm going to attempt the same technique that I used on the last radio that I restored the cabinet on. And that is putting a lot of coats of shellac all over, and then sanding it smooth with 320 to 400 grit sandpaper, and then rubbing it down with 4/0 steel wool with Howard's Feed and Wax to finish it. So this looks actually pretty good unless you look real close. In certain light, you can see some of the little streaks, you know, left behind by the applicator, kind of like brush strokes if you're using a brush. But I was actually using, you know, one of these little things to, you know, just rub or wipe on the shellac. So I need to get rid of those brush strokes and take this shine down a little bit. I want to get more of a satin finish rather than a shiny one. So that's the plan. Now what I'll have to do though is let this dry for a couple of days, because this shellac is still too soft. So if you try to sand it at this point, it just pills up on your sandpaper. I think they call it corn, and winds up gouging the finish. So maybe 1-2 days of curing, and then I'll go ahead and start sanding it and trying to get the finish nice and flat. The cabinet is all sanded down, all the finish is nice and smooth, and it's been treated with Howard's Feed and Wax, so it's pretty much ready to go. It's all screwed back together, with the exception of the grill cloth on the board for the speaker. I'm still waiting on that to come in. Once that comes in, I'll go ahead and install that, and it'll be ready to go. I was doing a little bit of alignment on the radio, but it seems to be in pretty good shape too. So I guess once the grill cloth comes in, I'll be ready to haul this thing upstairs and get it set up in its new spot. I purchased this radio 7 years ago, and finally got around to redoing the cabinet, which was in pretty rough shape. So it's looking pretty good now. The radio's working pretty well. And I did add a little feature here where I can flip that in the back. Let me detune this a little bit, and then I can play stream music to it. Put the chair on my front lawn, let the party go on.
'cause I got nothing going on. I got nothing going on.
Which makes it a little more useful, and I didn't have to modify the radio at all to do this. This had an auxiliary input that was originally labeled phono/television, which I could see phono, but television was brand new back in 1939, but I guess they were looking towards the future. Maybe you wanted a little bit more volume on your TV. So that'll do it for this video. Again, this is the 1939 Sentinel radio. The electronics were restored 7 years ago, and now finally the cabinet has been redone. It's looking good in this position. My wife really likes the looks of this radio. Originally it was over here in that position, but that's where the 47 Motorola is, so I relocated the old Sentinel over here. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.